These are nicer chairs,
I'm
yes.
not minded at all.
If it wasn't
I'm not
cold,
minded at
I
all,
would
no.
go. I used to love the Rose Parade because like I worked in a restaurant and it was right outside our window, so I'm like, yeah, just watch it from here.
From Tuttle Road, right? So we went straight across.
That's where I'm from.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to the March 15th, 2023 Sutton Conservation Commission meeting. If we could stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Tonight in person, we have Vice Chair Mike McGovern, Robin Jakes, Jamie Marin, Associate Tim Thompson, our new Associate Jared Duvall, welcome Jared, and myself, William Wentz, as Chair. Unavailable tonight is Nicole Oben, and in-person staff is Wanda Bean, Brandon Faniff, and Calvin. Am I getting that right?
Yep,
Remember?
Calvin Chase.
Calvin Chase. I'll remember you at one point. First and last name. Pursuant of Governor Baker's February 15, 2022 order suspending certain provisions of the open meeting law, this meeting of the Sutton Conservation Commission is in a hybrid format with both in-person and Zoom components. To join the meeting, visit www.zoom.us/join and enter meeting ID 842-4495-8569 and passcode 138917. The meeting will be broadcast and recorded on local public access station Verizon 31 and Charter Spectrum 191 and live streamed on the town's YouTube channel when available. A recording of this meeting will be made available after proceedings on the town's website and YouTube channel. Welcome, everybody. The first thing is 630 Waters Farm. We have Paul Schaefer and Joyce Smith. Welcome to you both. If you want to give us an overview.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm not going to read the whole report into the record, but for the new members of the Conservation Commission and for the public general knowledge, I believe in 2007 the town entered into a lease agreement with Waters Farm Preservation Inc. to help manage the farm, and I believe it was a 99-year lease. So. And one of those requirements of that lease agreement is that we report annually back to the town of the events of the year that happened. So we are here to fulfill that obligation. So we'll kick off. It seems like every April, and so we start off with our annual Easter egg hunt. And then here we go. Then the activities happen. We were very blessed during the last year. We had 3 opportunities for service projects from 2 churches and one school. First, as far as I'm aware, in May, we held a chamber recital for a chamber orchestra, not a chamber orchestra, a couple of musical instructors that are associated with 4-H. But they teach harp, oboe, and violin, and so they held their school recital in the Darling Barn, and I attended. And if there was ever a perfect venue for that kind of music, the Darling Barn, it's a barn. There are the acoustics were fantastic. So where the kids performed, the music bounced all the way throughout the building, and it was breathtaking. And so we hope to have them back again this year. Part of last year's events, also because of COVID, we tried to start in again a good neighbor relations project. So in May we hosted our neighbors potluck dinner, which was very, very well received. In June, we host the Country Montessori's annual field day for their end of school celebrations. And for the Sutton 4th Parade, we introduced our barrel train, which seemed to be a big hit to the audience as part of the parade. Let's see, I talked about the service projects. And then, so in August, we established volunteer work mornings, basically trying to get the farm and all the buildings and the outbuildings ready for farm days. we'll be talking a lot about volunteers. In September, the Fatmans host a back-to-school movie night. The Cub Scout and the Boy Scout packs are very active on our property and use our property a lot for their events. In September, the Whittier family hosted our second neighborhood dinner, which was very well received. In September, we prepare our apples for the famous apple crisp that everybody loves to talk about. And usually that's the first question. Are you going to have apple crisps this year? Well, yes, we do. So we spend a day peeling and preparing over 20 bushels of apples, and they go. Last year, we were able to complete the Rose Garden in honor of Rose Minor, and we continued our work days. The farm days. I'm assuming that you've all at least are aware of it if you've not attended. This is my first year as president. Well, I just completed my first year as president. And historically, farm days is associated with water. It's Water's Farm. It's always wet. So the Lord blessed us this year. We had 2 days of sunshine with dryness all around, and it's one of the best farm days that we've had weekends in some time. And I kid with the board of directors that, well, and it's all downhill from there, because I should retire now and resign, because I can't beat that. We had several special dedications during the farm days last year. The Sten Brody Memorial Engine and Tractor Show. Sten Brody, I did not know him, but I know he is well known in the community, and he was very active in restoring engines and tractors, and so we agreed, and the family asked that we designate and dedicate the antique engine and tractor show in his memory. So we did that, and then at the same time, on Sunday we have we established the Bruce Nichols Memorial Car Show, because he was a great supporter of the farm, and he had passed away during the COVID period, and that was our first opportunity to establish the car show in his memory. Last year, I believe we had 200 to 250 cars on Sunday, so it was wonderful. The tractor pulls are back. They'll be going on the second Sunday of each month from now, because they held their tractor pull last Sunday through the end of November. And then finally in December, we were designated this year as a trolley stop for the Chain of Lights, and that was a big thing. The barn was full of vendors and craftsmen, and the Fatmans continued to host their breakfast with Santa. Our ongoing activities in terms of what we're doing. If you've been to the farm, you can see that we have a major building under construction. Sometimes it's called the Nathan's Barn. It can be called the Meeting House. It can be the new barn, but it's right next to the farmhouse at that part of the property. And the reason that we're building that is there's going to be a meeting space in it that, when we're finished, will hold up to 99 people. But what it gives us is office space, archive space, and it's going to give us 3 public bathrooms. We won't have to necessarily always have porta potties available. So that's a big thing. And most of the exterior work is all done. We're waiting to put the railing on for good weather and to put the railing on the deck. The reason for the deck is that the deck is what makes the building handicapped accessible, because we need to do that. We successfully completed a restoration of the, was it 2 fireplaces? Or
Yes,
3?
two fireplaces.
Two fireplaces in the farmhouse.
And the beehive
In the
oven.
beehive oven, which can be used, and we weren't able to have tours of the house and to show that, and because of the condition of the fireplaces. So now those are fixed, they work, they've passed inspection, and And we have during the last farm days, we did hold tours of the farmhouse, and I do believe Joyce was doing some hearth cooking at the.
We did have tours of the house. It wasn't just because of the fireplace. We could show people the house. But the restoration of the fireplaces allowed us to have cook over the fire again. So I cooked an apple pie and popcorn and chicken and pork. And now next year we can maybe try to do the beehive oven. So that'll be exciting to try to do that. I'm a Waters descendant, so it was kind of exciting to see the fireplace back the way it was in 1757 when my fourth great grandmother was cooking there. So it was kind of exciting.
I think that the highlight of this report is and especially for the public's awareness, the Waters Farm Preservation Inc. It's 100% all volunteer force that is trying to maintain and keep a presence on the farm. The farm is owned by the town. It was bequested to the town by Dorothea Waters. And one of the proud things that we all take great pleasure in is, it's the next to last paragraph, but we are affiliated with the National Park Service, and we have to keep track of our volunteer hours. And the Waters Farm volunteers submitted last year over 15,000 hours of volunteer service, and that's worth about $450,000. So that's important because if any organization through the National Park Service tries to apply for grants, they usually look for in-kind funding, and that $450,000 is considered to be in-kind funding. So if we had to do a match, let's say that we were looking for a $900,000 project, and it's a 50-50 match, we did it with those volunteer hours. The 12 board members are very, very active, very busy, very, very much a support of the farm. But we have so many other volunteers, and we keep track of them, and we are now even trying to keep track of more of them than we ever did in the past.
And we received an award from the National Park Service.
We did. That's our report, and I do want, I need to, as president, I need to thank Michael. Mike has been a guide and a good counsel for me in terms of, especially with the barn project. So I do appreciate his willingness to help us, very much so.
Paul,
Be happy to answer questions.
Paul and Joyce, thank you very much both for your dedication. The town appreciates, we appreciate it. Mike, thank you for your help as well. Great overview, well done project. Does anyone from the board have any questions, comments?
I have a comment. Stepping down as the Secretary for Conservation Commission and stepping into my position as Keeper of the Hearth, I'd like to thank Paul and Mike and everybody on their board. I have not been able to go to any of the meetings, but hopefully someday I will be able to do that again. So thank you, everybody.
You're welcome, Wanda.
I guess one thing, Bill, I think Joyce brought me in a few years ago, and that's how I got active with the farm, and with doing some work at the barn, and it does take a lot of my time in conservation. So maybe somebody else on the commission wants to be the liaison for the Conservation Commission. I'd say if you did one meeting a month, they'd be pretty happy to see us. So I don't know if
When
anybody-
does, Waters Farm meet?
We meet on the second Monday of the month.
Okay, so it's one time a month.
Well, that's the official board meeting.
Okay,
It's now March, so we are starting our the third Monday of the month. We now meet specifically to do event planning.
okay.
So either meeting, you're more than welcome. If you haven't been to the farm, I'd be happy to show you. You can go up there on any given day, and you will see cars in the parking lot, and people are out with their dogs, and they are training and walking and just enjoying the field. I forgot to mention, we just received notice that we've received a $100,000 grant from the state. We are doing the drainage project on the main field to try to get some of the water out of the field. And we hope to be able to do that between May or June. So I've already got the proposal, and we've already approved their cost structures and everything. So we're hopeful that by next fall, we will have a dry field even if it rains.
Let's hope for no rain. So Wanda, if you want to keep us posted on the Waters Farm dates, and we'll try to get maybe a rotating schedule,
Yeah.
or if anyone wants to volunteer to
Paul
go.
sends me the agenda, and then I can make sure everybody gets a copy of that. I'll send it to you by email.
Perfect.
And we're all welcome.
Yep.
For new,
Oh,
like, we're all just
absolutely.
It's open to the
The
public.
more the merrier. We'll sign you up as a volunteer if you show up, so it's guaranteed.
Start
Becoming
coming.
a really interesting, I mean, there's a lot that does go on.
Bud used to always tell us, if you come up with an idea, you own it. So be careful what you talk about.
Yeah. Keep
You
your mouth
own
shut
it.
unless you're ready to
Hey.
work.
You know all about it.
That's true, yeah.
I didn't
Look
start
what
it,
that
though.
got you, Mike.
Somebody started it prior to me. There's a lot of people that's worked on that.
It's a great project. Thank you both again.
Welcome.
Have a great night, and
Thank you.
go from there. Keep up the good work.
Thank you.
If you, hope to see you there.
Sounds good. Nice to see the fireplaces up and running, Joyce.
Yes, it is.
The next thing up is a new one. It's 4 Lincoln Road. I've got to read this one in. Yes.
Quick question, came up, because of a, notice I got about wetlands.
Could you come up, sir? Yeah,
Wetlands delineation.
no, could you come
Sir,
up
you
to
got
the
to come up to the
microphone?
microphones.
I want to know if you've had the meeting part yet, that's all.
No, no,
We just started.
we just started.
You're all set.
In accordance with the provision MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 Wetlands Protection Act and the Sutton Bylaw 12 Wetlands Protection, the Conservation Commission will hold a hearing to review a request for determination RDA submitted by Mark Lambert for James Barton of Sutton, Mass. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, March 15th, 2023 at 6:35 PM. The project consists of removal of 4 hazardous trees behind the home at 4 Lincoln Road. Welcome. Your name and address for the record, please.
Mark Lambert, I'm 25 Fairbank Street, West Boylston.
Well.
The project's 4 Lincoln Road, Sutton.
Perfect. Brandon, I think you were going out there today or have been out there?
Sir, I met with the owner, and voila. Here we are, and how do I think I know what to do. And, does it switch over automatically? Of course not. All right, let me, one more time, new share, and voila. There we go. So it's that big oak tree that fell over. Right where the root ball is for that tree, there's a little stream. Not very big, and there's an old, what I call a clapper bridge, just a stone culvert, which used to be the historical colonial road right there. And could you point out the other trees that are coming down?
By the picture, it might be a little bit more difficult, but there's 2 maples. There's one that's bent over from the oak that's on the right-hand side.
Yeah, that one was an ash tree.
Yeah, there's an ash tree as well. So there's a dead ash tree and then 2 maples. One's a codominant maple that's got to include a bark and it's most likely going to crack in half. So we figure when we're in there.
That's this one. This is
Yep.
the one that's gonna crack. And right behind it, you can't see it. Maybe it's
Yeah,
this
it's
one
pretty
right here.
loaded.
The oak tree snapped it halfway when it was coming down.
Good overview. There is, I don't want to tell you what to do, but if you cut them down, there is another dead one right in front of the road by the old mailbox. So there's a cluster of 3 or 4 trees and one of them is dead. If you or the owner chooses to take that down, I would suggest, I don't know if it's in our jurisdiction, but I would
No,
suggest,
not
it's
up
not?
by the road.
Okay.
Okay.
Anybody from the board?
Nothing.
Anybody from the public?
I make a motion to close the public hearing on 4 Lincoln Road.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion to close the public hearing. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye.
I make a motion for a negative determination on 4 Lincoln Road.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion for a negative determination. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
I, Bill, vote aye. Thank you very much. You're good to go.
Thank you.
6:40, it's now 6:50, 228 Central Turnpike, another new one. This just want me to read. Oh. In accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sutton Bylaw 12 Wetlands Protection, the Conservation Commission will hold a hearing to review a request for determination RDA submitted by Deborah Kaczynski of Sutton, Mass. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, March 15th, 2023 at 6:40 PM. The project consists of a septic system plan with proposed grading and drainage basin at 228 Central Turnpike. And do we have anyone here for that? Oh. He's on the screen. And Mike's recusing. Mike's recusing from this one. You're up, Rev. You're muted if you'd like to unmute.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes, we can.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. Rauf Mankaris with Alpha Omega Engineering. We're proposing a house, a driveway, and a septic, and only the driveway will be in the buffer zone, a section of it. I don't know if Brandon can show it on the screen. I can show you what we have.
I'm just, as usual, dealing with technology. Come on. Okay. And share screen. Here it comes. There we go.
As you can see on the plan, almost everything outside the buffer zone, except a very small section of the driveway and a small basin just to control the runoff from the driveway. But basically, all the work for the septic, the house, and most of the driveway will be completely outside the buffer zone. And I think we spoke a couple of meetings ago about this one, if it's going to be an RDA or a notice of intent, and the commission recommended a request of determination.
Perfect, thank you. Brandon? Yeah.
Quick little tour, if I can share the correct screens here. Yep. There we go. So this is part of the old hayfield that goes all the way, and it's got frontage on Central Turnpike and frontage on, starts with a B. Burnett, thank you. I'll get there. And for the most part, work's gonna happen in this field, right? So it's gonna be a little bit of encroachment into the wood line. Slightly, maybe up by where the house is being built. But otherwise, the work is gonna stay more or less in this area that you see right here. All right, but, so it's in the 100-foot buffer zone under the Wetlands Protection Act, the 100-foot adjacent upland resource area under the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw. What I want to share, more views. There's some old telephone poles in the wetland right at the edge of the woods. So here's what I think could happen. I think that this project is eligible for a -3 or negative determination with a condition that somebody blow a hole through the edge of the forest without cutting down any trees and get those creosote-laden telephone poles out of the wetland. And I think that would be adequate mitigation for the work that's being done.
Perfect. To the board. Anybody? Anyone from the public?
I make a motion to close the public hearing at 228 Central Turnpike. I'll put those glasses right back on.
Need a second.
Second.
Robin made a motion to close the public hearing. Tim seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jared, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye.
I make a motion to make a negative determination with the condition that they remove the telephone poles out of the area.
Second.
Robin made a motion for a negative determination, removing, as well as removing telephone poles. Tim seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jared, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Thank you very much. Next up, 643, another new one. In accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40 Wetlands Protection Act and the Sutton Bylaw 12 Wetlands Protection, the Conservation Commission will hold a hearing to review an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation, ANRAD, submitted by 120 Burbank Road LLC, Sutton, Mass. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, March 15, 2023 at 6:43 PM. The project consists of an abbreviated notice of resource area delineation at 120 Burbank Road in Sutton.
I need to recuse myself. I'm an abutter.
Jamie's recusing. We're putting Jared to work tonight. Look at that.
Yeah. Remember my first meeting?
It's the only way to learn.
It was about like that.
You're back up.
Yeah, Rose.
Yeah, I'm here. Raouf Mankaris again with Alpha Omega Engineering. We have the wetland delineation plan before you, and I spoke to Brandon, but I think because of the snow yesterday, he couldn't have time to look at the site. So I believe it's just because it's a public hearing, it has to be opened and continued, and I'll leave it up to Brandon to see what he has up.
He's correct. We trying to get out there as soon as we could, and I made a appointment with the wetland scientists over at Huff Road to go there and do the review this morning before the meeting, and then the weather changed. And then it was too late, so we were keeping track of the snow cover, and this morning the decision was made to continue to the next meeting.
Okay.
Unfortunately, can't do wetland delineation or review wetland lines when there's continuous snow cover.
So how long do you want to continue, or?
I think April 5th is plenty. That'll be 3 weeks. We'll be all set. Or 2 weeks.
So I make a motion to continue 120 Burbank Road to April 5th at
At 6:40.
6:40 PM.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion to continue 120 Burbank to April 5th at 6:40. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote? Oh, I'm sorry. Jamie recused. I'm awake. Tim, how do you vote? Aye. Jared, how do you vote? Aye. And I, Bill, vote aye. I'll get this right one of these days, guys. Next up, 47 Huff Road, and if we can motion to
I
waive the
make a
reading.
motion to waive the public reading of 47 Huff Road.
Second. Robin made a motion to waive the reading of 47 Huff. Tim seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote? Aye. Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Welcome for 47 Huff Road. Do we have anyone here for this? Oh,
They made an email request for a continuance, Mr. Chairman.
Oh, okay.
okay, well, we had to open the public hearing anyway.
There we go, now it's open. I make a motion to continue 47 Huff Road to April 5th at
6:35 PM.
6:35 PM.
I'll second it.
Motion to continue to April 5th at 6:30 by Robin. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote? Aye. I, Bill, vote aye. Next up, 6:50. It's now 7 o'clock. We're gaining time. 14 Lincoln Road. It's a continuation.
I make a motion to waive the public reading at 14 Lincoln Road.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion to waive the reading. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
I, Bill, vote aye. Margaret, welcome back.
Good evening, you guys are moving right along.
Moving right along.
Yeah.
Okay, if I use this chair as the.
Anything you need, as long as you remember to speak into the microphone.
Yeah, so I'm just gonna.
Do you want any easel? There's one back here. I'll get it for you.
What's that?
You want it easel?
Chair might work better so she can talk into the microphone.
Okay.
All right, so we're good. So you got this one back?
All set?
Oh, yeah, I'm
Okay,
sorry, the
no
floor is
problem.
yours.
All right, for the record, Margaret Bacon, Civil Site Engineering. Here representing our clients for 14 Lincoln Street in Sutton. And so maybe what I'll do, just a brief recap of kind of where we've been and where we're at right now. So initially.
Margaret, would you mind the microphone? I'm sorry.
That's all right, that's
It's
all right.
not for us, it's for our friends on Zoom.
Well, this okay?
Can't hear you unless you're talking into a
Okay.
microphone, and the Zoom people can't hear. I would just sit.
There. How's this?
I'm gonna make you sit. There you go.
How's that?
Very direct.
Okay. So this project has a little history. When I came on board, one of the first things we did was an alternative analysis, which was this plan here. showing, there was a driveway, designed there at one time that was denied. Another driveway crossing, and then the preferred driveway crossing. So that was our original, design was this, and our alternative analysis, and documenting where this wetland crossing has the least amount of impacts over the other two, based on grading, and there's an existing cart road here. So since that time, we've revised the house. We've made the house smaller, we changed the grading, we made it a drive under to eliminate a lot of this excess grading, and we were able to make the whole area smaller. So one of the things we did, this house size right here, it's a 4-bedroom house. It's about half the size of the original designs. Also, it's a 4-bedroom septic,
What did I do?
but the septic design doesn't change footprint-wise based on 3 or 4 bedroom. It's the same 400 square feet when you use a Presby design. Another thing the board asked is, we did move the house in the yard, so we kept everything out of the 100-foot riverfront area. Another concern of the board's was the 100-year floodplain. And so we did a floodplain analysis of this because of the culvert and the flooding on Lincoln Street. So just to get your bearings, that right there is the culvert on Lincoln Street. And all of this area within this green flows to that culvert. So the drainage area to that culvert on Lincoln Street is about 560 acres. So with that, we did an analysis to try to calculate the best we could the 100-year flood elevation based on field evidence and based on hydraulic calculations. And I think I'm pretty comfortable with the numbers I have, because I've been out there several times during these rain events. And based on my calculations, that water should be so high at different storm events, and I'm fairly consistent. And I can say probably that road, Lincoln Street, probably overtops maybe once or every 1.5 years, based on my numbers, a little over a 2-inch storm event. So you can, so we were able to calculate the 100-year flood elevation. So now back to the latest plan. So this light blue line right here is the 100-year flood elevation at elevation 404. So it does come up here underneath our crossing a little, and then over onto the other street. Now, it's important to know the flood elevation's at a little over 404. The height of the pavement there on Lincoln Street, about 401.50. So that's why I'm saying anything over a 2-inch, 2.5-inch storm probably pretty much overtops Lincoln Street.
So Margaret, that blue hashed area is the 100-year floodplain?
Correct.
Thank you.
Now, that's based off of, actually, FEMA had the poly line on their, map. That's not an actual, it's a Zone X there.
Right.
Right.
It's a Zone A without an elevation, so
Correct.
it's just a blob, as they call it.
That's right. And, sometimes those blobs are somewhat accurate, but then once I did our calculations, 404 seems to work well for the 100-year flood. Because I plugged in, I was out there one day when we had a 2-inch rainstorm, and I provided you with the calculations, and my calculations showed that water would be about a foot below Lincoln Street. And sure enough, it was a foot below Lincoln Street, so that kind of gives me a little confidence. When you do hydraulic calculations, a lot of it, you have to make a lot of assumptions and things like that, and that's why it's always nice when you have an actual rain event to go out there and see if your calculations match what's going on out in the field. So I feel pretty good with these numbers, 404 for a floodplain elevation. So we were able to, what I did, since we were filling in the floodplain, I moved the replication area over here so it could be used as a compensatory storage and floodplain, or compensatory storage and replication area, so it meets both of those criteria. And then at the last meeting, I know the board had some concerns regarding pavement and additional runoff. Well, based on the size of this watershed, the amount of additional runoff with a half an acre clearing is pretty minimal. But what I did do is, since we have this compensatory storage area, replication area, I've graded all the pavement into that area. So it not only helps feed the replication area with some water during the rain events, it also helps to, detain stormwater and to compensate for the additional pavement. And then I also have a roof drain that goes right to it to take care of the roof runoff. Then I know there were some concerns about concrete trucks, so I made a couple phone calls, and a concrete truck fully loaded weighs about 77,000 pounds, and an H20 culvert, and actually H20 culvert can handle 32,000 pounds per axle. Anything heavier than that to drive on any of the state roads would have to get a special permit. Because a lot of the culverts out on the rural roads are H20 culverts. Maybe the interstates are a little beefed up a little more, but for a lot of the smaller, and all the culverts that go in now, whether it's the subdivisions or just single-family drives, are H20 loading, whether they're concrete pipes or box culverts or floorless culverts. So I did get confirmation from one of the concrete companies in the area, besides what's in the ASHTO standards. And what else was there? Stormwater, concrete trucks. I think, and we did do a tree survey. I know that got brought up at one of the last meetings, and the number of trees that are coming down, and we did that. We did a tree survey. And I know there was concerns too about being able to construct, put in a culvert in this limited area. Well, I've done several, and we've never had a problem. And actually, we did one right up here in Sutton on Boston Road. Was it 432 Boston Road there?
It was in the 400s, yeah, for
Travis.
Travis Perry.
480. No, that came up pretty good. And that was a floorless box culvert, and actually, I think I have some pictures of it. And I've done several in Douglas, and it's, the same thing, you come in here and you build the culvert first before you can get in and out of here. So it's all logistics. Actually, here's the one on off of Boston Road on Perry Street, one we did here a couple years ago, if you're interested in looking at it.
Pass it around, sure.
Sure. So here's just the driveway, here's the culvert, just a floorless box culvert.
Are we good to discuss?
Sure.
Good overview, Margaret. Thank you very much. I think that was all the points we had asked to be discussed.
Yeah, if I can go over last meeting's notes
Sure.
real quick, Mr.
Yeah.
Chairman. Oops, all right. So, on the 15th, was it the 14th? Forget. The 15th, yes, the 15th, my notes are Mike McGovern, change wattle to 100% biodegradable 12-inch. He had the concerns about H20 loading. Stated that the paved driveway is adding a lot of water to the wetland and what forest is left. Jamie was concerned about dewatering basins. And then Bill had a comment. and I wrote it down as best as I could. Margaret has done a great job, but this is a tight lot. Would feel better if there was a moratorium on contractor asking for more room or owner asking for a pool, bigger yard, et cetera. Those are the notes from last time, and I'll say that I think this is a very clever plan because it incorporates floodplain mitigation and a wetland replication and kind of like a rain garden at the same time, whereas the wetland replication area also serves as your floodplain displacement for what's gonna get filled. And then, you know, the driveway water and roof leaders can go to the wetland as well to help feed it. But the flip side of that is, I just keep on looking at this plan, and it's gonna be logistically very difficult to construct, and especially if the commission follows its usual modus operandi of requiring the wetland replication area to get built first. Now, obviously, you'd have to build the driveway to get in there, but the commission has had problems in the past where a wetland replication area was required, and then it didn't get built, and then the owners were left on the hook, and it ended badly. So ever since that time, the commission has required that replication areas get done first, so there's never any issue, because filling in wetlands is one of the biggest things that this commission permits, right? I don't know where the stockpile for all the wood and other materials is gonna go. I foresee the well truck getting in there, and the grades are wrong, they need to bring in fill to flatten it out so the well driller machine is stable. The concrete trucks coming in and out, and turning radii, and I think this is gonna be very difficult. I also foresee long-term issues with it being so tight. How many times has someone come and said, I have a letter from a certified arborist, and all these trees that are just slightly outside the limit of disturbance that the Conservation Commission took a lot of time and effort to make sure that got right, is now more or less like it didn't exist because the trees are too close to the house. And there's a phenomenon called lawn creep as well that I've seen. So this is logistically kind of tough, and as far as the impacts, yeah, there's a lot of impact here. There's impact to the 100-year floodplain, there's impact to the bordering vegetated wetland, there's impacts to wildlife habitat. You know, it's just a matter of going through the public interests, which I can list them right up on the screen if you want, and talk about whatever the commission wants to talk about and how you each individually feel about this particular project.
Thank you, Brandon. I'll turn to the board for if anyone wants to start with questions, comments, concerns.
Chair?
Yeah.
So Margaret, 100-year floodplain, that's new on this plan. We haven't seen that yet, right? That was some of the new
No.
soil
No, that was
elevations?
there.
It was there, part of it
It was there at the last meeting, which,
a month ago.
So this driveway, once every year and a half will be underwater a little bit? Some of the driveway, when the road floods?
Actually, the 100-year flood is at 404.
I see
so-
403.75, and then at the beginning, I see 403s on the driveway grades.
Margaret, did
Right,
you
so-
happen to drive by there yesterday or the day before?
No, did you?
No, and it was on my list to do, and I dig you, Jamie, okay.
Was it overtopped?
I went at around noon today,
Yeah.
and it was up to the top. I don't know if it had overtopped in connection with the actual event, right? But it was,
How many inches did we get, do you know, yesterday?
Or Monday night was probably inch and a half,
Yeah, at least that.
maybe two, I don't
Yeah,
know.
yeah, because but based on my calculations, right around 2 inches is when that's gonna start to.
Top
so
over.
It just kind of confirms that. Close, yeah.
I've been there twice the day after storms, and it's been up to the,
I as well, over the years. So just to answer my question, some of the driveway gonna be underwater,
During the
100-year
100-year
flood.
storm event, there's a,
a 1 year?
in theory, yes. Small section, and What I like to do is, when I design these culverts, I always have a low point, in case these things ever got clogged or anything. There's a way, so the water wouldn't back up to, flow around. That's why I always have these little low points on each side of the culvert, so.
I don't have any more questions. I was one of the members that denied it the last time, and I honestly don't see that there's much of a difference from the last time. I think the impacts are all pretty much the same. I think the concerns for myself are still the same. That's all I have to say.
Thank you, Mike. Anyone else from the board? Okay, I myself have drove by, I didn't yesterday and I wanted to, but, my whole concern with this property, and I don't want this to sound insulting, but to me, there's wetlands and then there's property that is just wet. And I think he did a great job on paper and put a lot of work into showing us, but I think this is a true property. When you see it on paper and then you actually drive by it, stop in front of it, look at it, it's different. So this is tough because I don't normally do this, but I don't feel comfortable with this one.
I agree with that.
So if there's no other discussion, I'll turn it over to the public, and if there's anyone on the camera, Pam.
Are we gonna do a positive determination? Or are we gonna
Well,
continue?
it's a notice of
It's an NOI.
an NOI, so.
You can
Oh, wait.
close the public hearing in absence of any more comments, and the commission is, at least an initial discussion, you can close the public hearing if you want, and then discussion, and then a vote.
Okay.
Okay, so I make a motion to close the public hearing.
Yes,
Before
Mike.
you do close it.
Yeah.
Is there anything else that we could have done on this lot that would have made a difference before we close the hearing?
Why do they have a DEP number?
Well, they get a DP because it's from DP.
From the state.
Yeah. Were there any comments from the state on this one? And I don't remember if we read them yet.
There were comments. Give me a second.
That's a good,
I'll bring it up. Okay.
Margaret, while he's looking that up, for
Sure.
me to answer your question, I don't think so from my end. I think you've done an excellent job, and
I mean, everything we've asked you to do, you've done.
I
Correct,
really don't think, I know the property very well. It was always said that there was only two lots there, one where Mr. Trenter's house was and one where the Little Ranch house is now, give or take. Knowing the property, playing on the property for many years, it was always wet. Myself, I don't see anything that could have been done, especially where I see the road flooding out. That's my opinion, though.
okay.
And I would say, the thing that would worry me is what we would be leaving the town in another board if it isn't myself, as the years go on. I worry, like we said, the construction, the moving forward after it's developed, the issues that are already there on the road. I mean, the road needs to be improved. Maybe someday if the whole road's improved, the culvert pipe changes, all the elevation on the road, I just think it's an area
From the state.
with a lot of water, with a lot of flooding, that's
it's up there
overcoming the
right now.
road. I think the roadway in is gonna have times where it's inundated with water. I know water ruins roadways, which needs maintenance, which is back in front of the board, because the road's deteriorated, because it's basically underwater most of the time, or darn near to, even if it doesn't overtopple the road. I think Margaret did a great job. It's just, at the end of the day, it's the development of that little piece of land in the middle of this resource area.
I feel like
I gave it every,
they issued the DEP based on that information. I'm surprised.
Brandon, do you want to share, or
Yeah,
is what's up there
so-
good, or?
Right, I'll read it out into the record. So the technical comments for 14 Lincoln Road from DEP when they issued the file number are as follows. How does the proposed crossing that culverts and intermittent stream meet the stream crossing standards? Actually, Margaret answered that, she did the three-sided culvert.
Correct, and it meets the bank width. Well, you've seen those, it's not much of a stream, there's like a bunch of little rivulets
Right.
that flow through there,
So
so.
I will say that, again, she did a good job, and she put in the correct culvert to meet the stream crossing standards. Please provide additional information on Bankville width and openness. How was Bankville width delineated? I don't think we ever got a specific answer to that one, but I think it's a moot point.
Yeah.
At this juncture. Please see 310 CMR 10.54 subsection 4 and provide additional information on how the project meets the performance standards. Please quantify impacts to bank and update the NOI. The commission may want to consider including conditions that require at least a 2-year monitoring period and steps to ensure the proposed replication area will meet or exceed the performance standards outlined in 310 CMR 10.55 subsection 4, subsections B 1 through 7. The scary thing is I know exactly what they're talking about. Conditions for replacement area, should it fail to meet the standards, may include the commission requiring additional measures that ensure the function and value of the replication area prior to issuance of a certificate of compliance. The commission may want to include a condition that the replication area must achieve 75% survival of all planted strata to be considered in compliance. It sounds like those are moot comments as well.
Yes.
So, if what I'm feeling here is correct, it sounds like a denial may be very well in the cards here tonight. So, when there's a denial, it's a little more touchy-feely when issuing the order, because you want your denial to be defendable upon appeal. So, usually when you have an approval, everybody's happy. You don't have to get into the 10 minutes of detail on everyone. But when you have a denial, it's very important because somebody's going to be scrutinizing the commission's every word. So when that happens, and I have it up on the screen, there are 8 interests of the Wetlands Protection Act, and there are an additional 3 under the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw. So these are all the public interests that wetlands serve to protect. It's not that this Conservation Commission is saving the wetlands just for the sake of the wetlands. They're saving the wetlands for the sake of the functions and values, and that is the public interest that they serve to humans, okay? And they are as follows. Protection of public and private water supply, protection of groundwater supply, flood control, storm damage prevention, prevention of pollution, protection of fisheries, and protection of wildlife habitat. Under Article 12, which is the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, there are an additional 3, and they are protection of aquatic life habitat, protection of recreational activities, and protection of aesthetics. So, when issuing this order, what I would like the commission to do is discuss and go through them one by one, actually, and state which ones that the commission believes are germane or applicable to the public interest. So, let's say protection of aesthetics. Maybe that's not very high on your list, so you want to exclude that one. But flood control sounds like it may be a very important one. Okay, so what I think, if you mind just following the lead of the leader, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go through them one by one, and then I recommend that the commission have a discussion of whether or not you think that that particular public interest is applicable and important here, okay? So protection of public.
We got to close the public hearing first,
Oh, yeah,
right?
sorry, go for it.
So as we close it, is there any other discussion before closing the public hearing?
I'll close the public hearing on 14 Lincoln Road. Is that right? Yeah, 14.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion to close the public hearing for 14 Lincoln Road. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Now,
Okay, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Protection of public and private water supply. Do you think that that particular public interest is applicable in this situation?
No.
No? No public, no private water supply? Okay. Even wells?
I just don't think that development would have impact on a residential well.
Okay, so that one's off the board. Protection of groundwater supply.
Yes,
Yep, so that one's on the board,
Yeah,
okay?
100%.
Flood control,
absolutely.
Yes.
okay? Storm damage prevention,
Yes.
I'm getting a yes, okay? Prevention of pollution. So,
I guess if we were to say storm damage, that could weaken the trees in the area, which could cause hazards in the road, so, yep.
Yeah.
I
It
just-
it could also be in having to cut more trees down in the protected area
Right,
to s-
they're too close to the
protect the
house and
home,
they'll, all
like
these
the other
things,
one
yeah,
that just came in front of us.
Well, it'd be trees, it's full of trees.
Yeah.
yeah,
protection of, prevention of pollution, wetlands are nature's carbon filters.
no.
Yes, because it'd be yes,
Why?
have to be, trees, all the
Oh.
trees are coming down in the resource area. There's a replication, but
I thought you meant pollution's like leaving the property, but
Yeah. I would've
Well,
thought
there's,
the same.
there's pollution, there's septic effluent, there's road salt, there's chemicals people put on their lawns, there's all kinds of stuff that get filtered out through the wetlands, and the trees in the wetlands also, turn carbon dioxide into carbon.
Okay, so then yes,
so yes.
so then
Yeah.
yes.
Protection of fisheries, seeing as you have a perennial stream right next door,
yes.
Yep.
Yeah,
and wildlife habitat.
Yes.
yeah,
Okay, so they're all yeses except for protection of public and private water supply, okay? Under the bylaw, protection of aquatic life habitat,
Yes.
yes,
protection of recreational activities,
No.
no,
no, and protection of aesthetics.
Yes.
you think?
Well, so aesthetics, meaning it's a resource area that's it's preserved, it's untouched, and they would be going in and, so I mean, from the road, I mean, some of what you see is that visual of untouched woods, I mean, I guess aesthetics isn't the end of the world, but,
It is
does
such an
change that
opinion,
whole
but I take
area, I
your
mean.
opinion.
I mean, I don't know, aesthetics maybe not.
I guess that could go either way.
That's an opinion, anyway, it's a
Yeah,
personal
And
opinion.
aesthetics is, that's what we have in town, residential homes, so probably not aesthetics.
Right, but everything
that would be-
else on the top part,
Right,
Everything but the public and private water, which
yes,
and aesthetics would be grasping.
I would even include public and private water to the extent that it acts as a filter that eventually the water makes its way into the aquifer somehow, right? I mean,
That would be prevention of pollution.
That would be prevention of pollution.
Yeah, so maybe you're worried that the water's gonna get rerouted, or there's gonna be somehow the well there is going to, suck enough water that it's now gonna affect other people's wells,
Okay.
the water,
Yep.
yeah.
so as long as Jamie's point can be mentioned under the pollution, that would make sense, right?
Prevention of pollution, right?
Yeah,
Yep.
somehow.
Well, the groundwater supply covered that.
Yeah, okay.
Okay, so now we're gonna go right back to the beginning. Now we know which ones are in play. I'm gonna state them again, and I would like the commission to have a discussion of whether or not you think that the project as currently proposed will have an adverse impact on that particular public interest, and why, if you care to say why. So, protection of groundwater supply, do you think it's going to have, this project will have adverse impact on groundwater supply?
Yes.
yes,
Okay. Does the commission believe that the project will have adverse impact on flood control?
absolutely.
Yes.
Okay.
Do you need any explanations on this, or?
If you want to include them, but not necessary. Storm damage prevention,
Yes,
prevention of pollution,
yes,
protection of fisheries,
yes,
protection of wildlife habitat,
yes,
protection of aquatic life habitat.
yes.
And did we say yes on
No,
aesthetics?
we did not,
And we said no to recreation, correct?
yes.
So that's it. So that's how the commission feels that there will be adverse impact on those particular public interests that I mentioned. Are there any other reasons for deny it? And it could go like towards, logistics, it could be, not just individual impact, but cumulative impact on this particular wetland or watershed or the street, things like that. Any other kinds of reasons?
Is there anything that would be consistent in our last denial?
Yeah, so I have the whole thing, right here, the denial, and this is the explanation. One thing that's gonna be left out is that one thing they were able to do in this project, in this application rather, compared to the last one, is that in the last one, they weren't able to make the state standard for work in riverfront area. This time they could.
Can you explain why, just so it's on record?
And I have the,
Or do you have the explanation
I
why?
have the explanation
Okay.
right behind you.
Okay.
So, there's a standard that, if you exceed 5,000 square feet of disturbance in the riverfront area, or 10% of the total square footage of riverfront area on the lot, then that exceeds the state standard. And in this case, in the last case, there was a total disturbance of 24,206 square feet. There was 170,492 square feet of riverfront area on site, so the total percentage of disturbance was 20.6, which was 10.6% more than was allowed under the Wetlands Protection Act. So that right there disqualified them. But that's not the case, because what they did is they merged that lot with the big retreat lot in the back. So they had a lot more riverfront area now to begin with.
Oh.
So even though impacts were, still more or less the same as the last one, there was a lot more riverfront area to begin with, so they stayed well under 10%, just because they changed lot lines. Okay. On the BVW crossing, under 310 CMR 10.5 4B7, this section states that in the exercise of this discretion, the issuing authority shall consider the magnitude of the alteration and the significance of the project site to the interest identified in MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, the extent to which adverse impacts can be avoided, to the extent which adverse impacts are minimized, and the extent to which mitigation measures, including replication or restoration, are provided to contribute to the protection of the interests identified in MGL 131, Section 40. Okay? Conservation commissions are allowed carte blanche to allow up to 5,000 square feet of BVW fill as long as it's replicated on a 1-to-1 ratio. But it's not by right, it's at the discretion of the Conservation Commission. And what I got from the commission just a little while ago was that we went through the public interest, and your opinion is that the impacts to the wetland resource areas and the AWRA are going to pose adverse impacts to the public interest in the wetlands, okay? So what I'm getting from the commission, and I'd like to hear it from you directly too, so we can get it on the record, is that you're using your discretion to not allow 5,000 square feet, and that you believe that even though it's under 5,000 square feet, you think that it's still going to be an adverse impact, am I right? I'm not trying to lead the witness here, but,
No, yes, absolutely.
That's
Yeah.
what I believe to be true.
Great.
Yeah.
okay. What else do we have? Bordering land subject to flooding, that's the 100-year floodplain. I went through some of the things the different commissioners talked about. There's a reference to Mr. McGovern in here, believing that significant grading and fill in construction so close to the stream with increased impervious area and loss of forest would potentially increase flooding at the street and downstream, creating adverse impacts to public interest of flood control. So that's what it said on the last one. I think I'm getting the same for this one.
Correct.
Yeah.
So, and then I go through the local bylaw. So on the last one, I wrote, section of the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw explains that the general rationale and requirements for permitting or denying a project. Under this section, the commission decides that due to site conditions as a forest undeveloped lot with bordering vegetated wetlands in close proximity to a perennial stream with floodplain, that the functions and values of the wetland resource area provided towards the public interests are high. You still believe that should be true?
Yes.
Yes.
The commission also decides that the work, activities, alterations, and/or project as a whole are likely to have both individual impact and cumulative impact when taking 4 and 10 Lincoln Road into consideration for existing and foreseeable future activities upon the public interests. Do you still feel that way?
Yes.
Yes.
Further, the commission cannot impose conditions that would adequately protect wetland resource areas by allowing the project to move forward without it resulting in significant adverse impacts to the public interest as stated above, and therefore denies this application. You could almost use that as your motion if you wanted to.
I literally wrote that down.
It's right there.
Yeah.
So, I think the commission has done its due diligence for protecting yourself in a denial. So if you have any other discussion, I'll give it back to the chairman.
Thank you very much. Turn this over to a vote.
So just deny 14 Lincoln Road?
Well, if it's,
Like, what is
what would the motion be?
You
If-
you could do it either way. You could make a motion to deny, right, and then the ayes would be to deny, or you could do as a motion to approve. I got a feeling nobody's gonna second it, but if somebody did second it, then a motion to, a yay would be to approve, and a nay would be to deny. The easier way, is what I'm getting from the
First
commission
way.
is do the
Yeah.
first way.
Before we
You didn't
confuse
even have to
ourselves.
say all those words, Brandon. I make a motion to deny 14 Lincoln Road because the Conservation Commission does not have enough conditions that would adequately protect the wetland area and the public interest.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion to deny 14 Lincoln Road. Mike McGovern seconded. And Robin, could you state the reasons again on the record?
Cannot impose conditions that would adequately protect wetland resource or allow the public interests to be considered.
Thank you. Robin, how do you vote?
Yes, I do. Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Margaret, thank you very much for, you gave it your best effort, and this is not anything this board likes to do.
I understand. So, I haven't, refresh my memory a little here, because I haven't been through a denial, in quite a while. So you issue a denial, and then there's a 10-day appeal period
Yes.
after that?
Absolutely. Now, keep in mind, if your client decides to appeal, they will not only have to appeal under the Wetlands Protection Act, they'll also have to appeal under Article 12, the Sutton Wetlands Protection Bylaw, and that means bringing it to Superior Court. And you'll have, I believe it's 60 days to do that, but
Okay.
you basically have to hire a lawyer to help you with the local
Exactly,
appeal.
but the deadline is within 10 days of-
10
for the
business
state.
days, yes, for the
For the
state.
state, and then 60 days for the town.
Don't quote me on the last
Okay.
one, 60 days, but that's, I'm 90% on it.
Okay, but the state's the one, so as soon as you sign that and issue it, somebody will let me know, and then
Yes, we'll make sure you get.
make a decision. Okay, very good.
Thanks,
Thank you very
Margaret.
much.
Have a good night.
Yep.
Next up, 6:55, it's 6:55, it's now 7:40, 110 Manchog Road. We do need to read this in, and then we're gonna make a motion to continue to April 5th, 23 at 6:30 PM per the request of the applicant, because the address should actually be both 106 and 110 Manchog Road, but I need to read it in. In accordance with the provisions of MGL Chapter 131, Section 40, Wetlands Protection Act, and the Sutton Bylaw 12, Wetlands Protection, the Conservation Commission will hold a hearing to review a notice of intent NOI submitted by Timothy and Tammy Mahoney of Sutton, Mass. The hearing will be held on Wednesday, March 15th, 2023 at 6:55 PM. The project consists of construction of a new single-family dwelling, attached garage, driveway, and patio at 110 Manchog Road. If we could get a motion to continue this to April 5th,
I
23.
make a motion to continue 110 Manchog Road to April 5th at 6:30 PM.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion to continue to April 5th at 6:30. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. And now do we make a motion to remove this from the agenda, Wanda, so you can
Yeah, it's gonna have to be re-advertised, so I think we need a motion to remove it from the agenda.
The 110.
Yeah.
I make a motion to remove 110 Manchog Road from the agenda.
I'll second it.
Robin made a motion to remove 110 Manchester Road from the agenda. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. And now, when you re-advertise the Wander, we'll have the correct addresses. There's
Yeah,
nothing more we need
yes,
to do at this time.
He's gonna be sending me all of the information.
All right, thank you very much. Next up, the minutes for March 1st, 23.
I'm good.
Pretty good?
I make a motion to approve the minutes of 3/1/23.
I'll second it.
Rob made a motion to approve the minutes of March 1st, 23. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Discussion for 3 Lackey Dam Road, Mary Burdoin. But then we had a 47 Huff Road. Oh, that's not the same address for the ANRAD.
No, it's a
That was-
different.
Okay,
yeah.
so nothing, this is the one we're waiting on the conservation restriction?
Yeah,
Okay.
crickets.
And it's
Do
still
we
within,
have, oh, I'm sorry.
I was gonna say, they're still within the time frame, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Do we have it, have we written them a letter or something that says that we need probably 60 days to, in
No,
advance of the?
They just send it to us when they get it done.
No, I understand, but from our standpoint, it's gotta go through 2 boards. We need to receive it, we need to, if there's modifications required, it needs to get modified, we need to vote on
It
it.
usually comes to us first, then it goes to the select.
And then
goes
after
back.
we finish with it, it goes to the select board, right? So the process is probably, when you look at scheduling meetings, and
2 months.
it's probably at least 60 days. And there's absolutely no reason for this to come in a big hairy hurry, and, you know, they've had plenty of time to work on it. So I think that a letter needs to be written to them that says that it's gonna require a minimum of 60 days to run it through the process.
Never done that.
Yeah, we never, that's the other part of it, is we rarely do these, so
Yeah,
it's not like
it's
we've
new
done
to
a
us.
lot of them and have a lot of experience. We have a learning curve to climb too, so
Brandon, we probably don't need a motion for that, it's just,
No.
okay.
the more time we have, the better, and I think that it's important that it be documented in writing so that when they come to us and say, I need it in 2 weeks, we say,
Right.
it can't be accomplished in 2 weeks.
That's, yeah,
More than
put
fair.
them on notice.
Okay. I don't see any certificate of compliance requests or site reviews, right?
No, we have nothing tonight.
Okay. We do have, well, open thing, or unexpected business on Old Mill Road.
Yep, I'll bring up some pictures.
Just while you're bringing that up, we received pictures from 2 abutters, or 2 neighbors, I should say. I drove by there today, I believe Jared drove by there, I'm not sure if any, Brandon went, I believe Brandon drove by there today.
I actually didn't.
didn't
There,
drive.
there were 4 people who took pictures today.
Okay, so you didn't,
Mr. Mr. Vondell, you, Mike, and
Jared,
No, the next door neighbor.
okay. So
yeah, and Jared.
there were a lot of eyes on the property in the past couple days.
Yep.
We have Rauf here as well, who is the engineer for the property.
1 second. Whose pictures would you like me to bring up?
The best ones.
Dealer's choice.
I think Jared did a really good job.
I have some
You know
too.
what's really hard from the pictures, is there any way to bring up the site so we can explain where the
Yeah,
water's
that would be
coming from?
nice.
Because when I go through the pictures, and I've been there like as recent as today, it's sometimes hard to orientate yourself to the
You
site.
should be sitting in the office.
I think it would be a better discussion to like say, here's the flow, this is where we see it, and then we can maybe
I'm
say
gonna go
where
take
it's
a
coming
ride
from.
to find out where all this is too.
I'm trying to get one that's kind of
If everybody
back so you
agrees.
can see where everything is.
Yeah, they have an overview of the site.
So I do thank Jared throwing him right under the bus on his first day here for going out and taking pictures, and one way to get your feet wet.
We need to get him a ticket book.
Oh, my good God.
All right. That's not bad. Okay, share.
And Raul, thank you
Oh,
for
we're
staying
gonna
on
lose
for this too.
Raoul's pretty face when you put this up, huh? We'll just
He's
keep-
up there in the corner
Always up there in the corner.
with the palm trees.
That's a good, I mean, that's an idea, but
This runs right down the driveway.
Yeah, you can see it here, and it's kind of running like that. Okay.
so where are the like, where was the water today?
Was that that was the picture from this yesterday or this morning?
Well, that's a picture that you sent to me.
That's the one I sent?
Yeah,
Oh,
Just-
yeah.
just earlier today.
It was about 11, right around 5 minutes of 11 o'clock.
Mhm.
The water at that time was coming from this a stone little berm, it was below it. Sorry. I was testing you to see if you were paying attention. Above the tree, there's a stone berm, the water was below that, so it was not, I did not witness it coming down from the main part of the driveway. I feel like I'm on trial.
Through the chair.
Now,
Bill? Through
Yes.
the chair? Can I ask a question to Raouf? Raouf, is the pipe that crosses the driveway in yet? That connects these
Yeah,
two
it
detention?
is. Yeah, the pipe under the driveway is there that connect between the two basins. If you can keep this picture for a minute, it's right there. And if you go to the left-hand side on the basin on the left-hand side, if you go to more to the left, down by the road, by the driveway, that area right here, right here where you have the right at that stake right here. This supposed to be like more berm, but he put a lot of stones, so the water doesn't stay in the basin and it just keep coming out from the berm. So I instructed the contractor to fix this area because it should be like more like 40 mil barrier or a more compacted material and then stones around it. And he's gonna work on that. And that's why some of the water in the basin keeps coming out from this location. But yesterday, when they were plowing the street on the left-hand side above from our property, they went in off the road and they start plowing in the dirt. And that's what the contractor told me. And he went this morning and he cleaned it and he put stones in it. And I have some pictures to show you regarding this area too.
Okay. Can we make Raouf,
I think I have multiple sharing.
okay, good. So, go for it, Raouf.
That? Can you see my screen? Yeah, so this is above our driveway. Our driveway is down here. So this area, basically, when they plow the snow, this is north of our driveway. They just went through it. So the contractor went this morning and he added this fresh stones here to fix it, but it's beyond our driveway. Let me see, go to the next page. So this is downstream from us, going to the neighbor property and to the pipe right here. So this is very clean compared to before. I mean, we don't have any standing water. We don't have any sediment anymore. And again, this is our driveway right here, and this is the stones we have. But up there, this is where the damage happened, right up this area here. And also, we started working on the one-to-one wall in the back behind the house, and it's standing very well. Actually, it's still under construction, but this is the wetland side. There is nothing, no erosion, nothing happening. We have double erosion controls that's still standing. And this is the wall by the house, and this is the area on the wetland side. And another view for the erosion controls. And this is the French drain we have behind the house that's taken the runoff from the hill behind the house and send it toward the wetland again as it was before. But keep in mind, we still haven't done anything with the house. With the driveway, fixing the driveway because of the winter months. But coming spring, we're gonna start fixing the driveway, redirecting the runoff back to the wetland as it used to be. And this is gonna control a lot of runoff that's going to the street right now.
Thank you. Does anyone have any comments or want any further discussion?
I mean, just for giving, they've been working really hard. And I know the water may have, but if there's a reason why in the detention basin, and I would believe that when they're done. From what I've seen over the last month, it's been such an improvement. And we had substantial rain, which isn't an excuse, but at least we kind of can understand from Raouf's explanation, and they have a plan to continue to improve the site. That's all I wanted to hear, right, is there's a plan to improve it.
Sure.
That the end goal will be certificate of compliance and
Yeah.
the site stabilized. So I think spring, at least it's clean, so it's clean, there's no more silt, we had silt.
Yep.
They rushed out again, put crushed stone. But remember, it's the middle of the winter, and I'm not gonna dismiss your concerns, but just, I'm saying, I think they're
Bill,
gonna.
36 Old Mill Road, I own the property on 49. Evidently, Michael, you did not look on the side of the road today. There's sand, there's mud down in the gully. So there was stuff coming
Can
out.
we go back to the picture? I just,
Well, I can
Well, you
bring
can
up
see there's
Mr.
some
Vondell's.
erosion.
I
You
can bring
see
up
the
Mr.
water that's
Vondell's
flowing.
Oh,
pictures.
he's
Hey,
the-
Ralph, can
he's
you
the one
stop
that sent
sharing?
all the other ones.
When I went by at 5 of 11 or 11 o'clock, there was I did see the new crushed stone. I actually called Brandon when I was there, and as I left, there was new crushed stone there, and I will say it was wetter going closer to back towards Central Turnpike, not towards Manchog Road. So it was wet and there was water everywhere. Not disputing, there's definitely a lot of water, but I will say at 11 o'clock it was cleaned up.
There we go. Oh, I gotta share, I'm like, why doesn't anybody see it? I gotta share it first. There we go. So, Mr. Vondell, I received these pictures, I believe they're from you.
Yes, they are.
Thank you. So I'm gonna go through the pictures that Mr. Vondell supplied Wanda that she sent to me today.
Right there. If you were taking a look at the bank, there's a little pine tree on the bank. On the wall, the other wall, on the back of my property, which is right there. You will see that there is water coming through, and there's been a dirt bank up against the wall since roughly the late 1950s or early 60s, and we've never had water come through the wall.
Mr.
What's
Vondell,
happening,
do you mean
I
this wall?
do believe.
Do you mean this wall right here, Mr. Vondell? Or is it a different wall?
No, it's not that wall. That's the wall on the road.
Okay,
I'm talking the wall on the back of my property,
okay.
which is not that far. If you take a look at your upper right-hand corner, you'll see the tree. You'll see the wall right there.
Mhm.
And it comes down all the way.
Okay.
I didn't want to say anything tonight, but since I'm up here, I wrote something quick,
Okay, I'll stop the share when
and
I
I
talk.
just want to read it to you. I'm very concerned about the water drainage, which I'm sure you all know I am. I've been here enough. Although there's been a lot of progress to try to fix the water problem on 41 Old Mill Road. It appears most of the work done for the drainage is headed for my property. I don't claim to be an expert in fixing the water issue being addressed, but common sense says that you can't clear cut a piece of property, strip it of all growth, 80,000 square feet approximately, on going uphill and not expect the water to run to the low point. I am that low point. We never had this problem before this project started. If it were done right, maybe, but now it's getting worse. I know the retention ponds are there, the one on the right, if it overflows, this is what's gonna happen. It's either gonna go down the driveway, or it's gonna go to the right and go onto my property, flow over my property, or it's gonna come over and it's gonna flow onto the town property or into the road, back down into that picture you just saw, come down and go on my property again. And I do know you cannot divert water on somebody else's property. The berm, I was down there yesterday, it was coming out of the two berms. You can't have a berm and think that it's gonna hold, your stone berms are gonna hold the water. Water takes its easiest route. Bang, it's there. And I think you've created, or what the engineer has created, and I'm not an engineer by any shape, manner, or form. If you take a look now, the house is up here, the new house. It's all basically riprap. You're trying to feed 80,000 square feet of runoff, roughly, plus wetlands in back of it, into a postage stamp down below. And I just, what you've created is I want to read this because I got to use the right terminology, and I'm not going to be able to find it.
Take your time.
You've made a man-made hydrostatic pressure point. That's what's happening. And it's coming into the lower part, which is my property, and coming out by the wall. I'm concerned, I'm very concerned. It's my property. I don't care who builds up there. It's gotta be done right. You cannot destroy my property. And I'm very upset about it. And I've been here, I don't know how many times. It started off with the planning board. I'm not a stupid man, believe me. I know that property better than Whittier knew the property. I've been on that property. I've hunted it for years and years and years. I played in it when I was a kid. I'm not here to create problems. I was here the last time. I was the one that said the water's coming out clear, if you remember right. I want this poor, the people doing this, I really feel bad for them, but I gotta feel bad for me. Take a look. How many times have I sent pictures in? Same thing, same thing. It's not getting any better. Yesterday, or whenever it was, the day before, storm, that's not an unusual storm. We get one of them every winter, basically. I'm gonna have to put up with this every winter, one storm, and then in the summer, rain or something. It's not right. Mike said, I think it was a February 4th meeting, that the town, he talked to the, I'm gonna call them the town highway department, and that they were gonna do some drainage on that road, down to the pond. I called, maybe 2 weeks, 3 weeks afterwards, left a message and asked if there was any plans for that drainage, and to please call me back, and I never got a phone call back. I've been getting lip service from every department I went to. I don't want to name names or anything. I want something done. I really do. And I think one time I was here, and somebody said to me, in fact, it was whoever it was down there, that it's only water. Well, I would like that person to come and live down there now and tell me it's only water. It's my property. It's gonna devaluate my property. I pay taxes in this town. I've been paying taxes for a long time. That's basically all I got to say. I'd like to see the problem cured. Drainage on the road would cure. You got drainage down below on 56 Old Mill Road, coming out of the road, running down the side of the road, and going into Aldridge Pond. Nobody seems to be concerned about that. This year, we had a quick freeze. If you were going on Old Mill Road to Manchog Road and tried to stop, you would have went almost into the pond. It was probably, I want to say, 25 feet of solid ice. I don't know, I complained about it. You know, what can I say?
Okay.
You'll probably hear from me again. I'm not complaining. I just want something done. This has been quite a while.
Just
Thank
for the
you.
record, I wasn't privy to the town doing any drainage work. I don't remember any discussion that I had with
If you go back to the.
Early on, I heard
Oh,
some
okay.
discussion of it, but wasn't through me. I know there was some mention of it that I heard too, but that that I had never had any discussion with the DPW director of them doing any work on that road. I'm not saying that they wouldn't, but I personally had no discussion.
Jamie?
I'm tired of hearing about this. This falls into the category of how many opportunities do we give them to solve a problem that never gets solved? And I do agree that it's not fair to impact an abutter because we have a
And
plan
like
that's
I
not
told
working.
you-
I
excuse me.
completely agree with you. And, you know, this is why we need to be careful about approving lots like this to be built on. If there isn't a solution, yeah, you know, driveway pitch may solve part, I don't know, what the solution is, but enough is enough.
So, Raouf, we're middle of March today, right? Hopefully winter's coming to an end. What's the time frame? I know it can't be fixed overnight, but clearly this needs to be corrected. And I don't want to put you on the spot, but you're just the engineer, you are the engineer behind it. Is there what's the next game plan? If you could just kind of give us an update.
Well, I mean, the next game plan will be just basically once we allow to do the septic, we'll start working on a septic system, and then we'll stabilize the whole site. And you know, when the site right now it's a bare soil, I mean, there is no vegetation. Once you establish vegetation, the whole site will be stabilized. And also, once we do the road, the pavement, when we're able to do the asphalt, we will redirect the pavement. I mean, the whole road, slope it toward the wetlands where it used to go. And this will eliminate a lot of runoff that's going to the street. Again, I mean, not the whole thing is coming from our site. I mean, there's a lot of runoff coming from above our site, from different areas, and some of it used to come from our site also. And if you look at the Google Earth back a couple of years ago, that area that the neighbor was talking about, actually it used to be wooded, and in 2021, I believe when I was doing the survey, this whole area was cleared. And also, this is a low depression area. I believe if this area is filled and sloped toward the pipe, and you're not gonna have any standing water. I mean, the road is sloped toward the same area, and it's a low depression area that caused standing water from any runoff. So once we establish the vegetation on our site, we slope the driveway toward the wetland, and we're working on that as fast as we can. I think there is nothing. The basins would be mostly empty. There's nothing would be in this basin. There's just going to be controlled some of the runoff. So if you look at Google Earth down there and you go back a couple years ago, you will see the area in the front by the neighbor that was wooded. It wasn't like that.
Raouf, so you see the screen, and I have, right now, I just put up the 2021. And you can see probably on the right-hand side all the different years you can choose from. Can you point us in the right direction?
Go down just between our driveway and the basin, the pipe under the road. Yeah, that area right here, yeah.
Yeah. Zoom in?
Yeah, if you zoom in.
Okay.
So
this is 21. How far should I go back?
I mean, I think go back like another year and just zoom in above the word old.
Okay, this is from 2019.
Yeah, that area above the word old, that was wooded area, and it's a lot of brush. Between our property and that triangle section, the little triangle at the end of the neighbor's property, yeah, up,
This?
yeah, that area, a little bit up, yeah, right here, yeah. That area, that whole area was trees and brush. It wasn't like open area like that.
Well,
And
it's
the
been,
neighbor,
it's been
yes, but
forested there for a very long time. In fact, you go back to the 1990s.
but
and
right now, if you go back, I mean, if you go to the side, this whole area became landscape. It's not like open like that.
Oh, you're talking about this triangle
Yes,
right here?
that area a couple of years ago, a little
Where the
bit,
water's
couple of years
sitting?
ago.
There's a nice stone wall and grass.
Yeah, now it's grass and stone wall. The stone wall is there, but it's nice grass area. It's not like wooded areas before.
So you're talking about this area right in here, Raouf?
Yeah, that area where the neighbor is complaining about the runoff and the standing water.
All right, I'll give you the two extremes. This isn't the 1990s, and I'm about to put up the 2021 aerial photo.
Look at the images, the pictures he has. You can see the whole area is landscaped again now.
Is that
like currently. I did the survey a couple years ago.
Raouf, are you trying to get to the point that forest absorbs the water better than, say, lawn? Is that what you're getting to?
Definitely yes. Yeah, definitely yes. And I don't know how this area was regraded, but right now there is a low depression between the stone wall and the pavement that's holding the water is not going toward the pipe. And if this area gets graded correctly, you're not gonna have any standing water. Like the water is not reaching the pipe. I mean, it goes in this area, it fills
I'd
up,
like to
and then it
address
overflows.
Raoul.
Yeah.
The pipe that you're talking about, that goes underneath the road, has always had water. That pipe has always been there since I've been 5 years old. Okay, I'm
this area-
74 now.
Yeah, but
That
That
area
has
between
been
our
there
driveway and
also.
the pipe.
There has been no change
Yes,
to,
right here.
there has been no change to that property that I know of
The area
since
between the two stone walls was
1954, other than building a new house on it.
the area between
Where
the
that
two stone
water
walls.
is building up, there is a barway. And yes, the barway does go up. It's always been there, it's always been level with the road.
And there's a pipe that goes underneath the road right there.
right there.
Right after the barway,
Yeah.
headed down the road, is where he's talking. If you go down, you'll see it.
If you look at,
Right
if the
after
commission,
the
can-
barway.
Yeah, right there.
It crosses the
the pipe
street.
is right there.
Right,
So that area, the area between the two stone walls, it was actually wooded and brush, and now it's clear grass cut. But the area between the pavement and the first stone wall is a low depression area that's holding runoff. If this area is get graded correctly toward the pipe, you're not gonna have any standing water. Right now, there is standing water because there is not graded correctly.
That's the town right away.
Yes.
Right. At the same time, it's kind of nice
No,
that
it's
it's not making it to the pipe, because that
And that
the
is
stream
correct.
forms, and then you have polluted water going to the stream, so it's kind of a better thing that it's being stopped, that it's not a,
But that
great
area
situation.
where the water is.
And
up
you
to-
are correct on that. That's what's holding some of the water up.
Yeah.
And that's why the town should come down and put a catch basin in there.
I'll try to put a call to the DPW and see if they can help with that.
if I can help to summarize, Mr. Chairman, what I'm hearing here is that,
And that would alleviate some of the problem. I don't think it's gonna alleviate all of it,
But it would,
but
it
it
would be a
will
stepping stone.
alleviate quite a bit of it.
Okay, yeah, Brandon.
I am hearing that, obviously, the water coming off of the subject site is still a problem, right?
Yeah.
But I'm also hearing that it's not just 41 Old Mill. There are other properties, driveways further up the hill that are also contributing to the problem. So, you know, this is a issue, a situation where you have cumulative impact. It's like the death by 1,000 cuts, and this is the one that broke the camel's back.
Driveways up the hill actually flow the opposite way. There's only one other driveway up the hill on the same side, and that goes the opposite way.
I saw that this morning, and those driveways going close to the Central Turnpike were letting a lot more water off them. There's a lot more water up that way than there was here when I was there this morning at 11 o'clock. So we know we gotta move forward. We heard about stabilizing the site, the septic, which can't do the septic yet.
And I wanna let you know, I'm willing to wait, I just want this fixed. And I believe that the person that owns the land wants it right, too. I just don't wanna be stuck
With water.
2 years down the road with water.
Brandon, is there any,
I'm just rifling through all the pictures he gave today, so we can have them on the record.
I'd just like to add one more thing to it.
yeah, Jared, you gotta use the
Never any
microphone.
water there.
Raouf,
Until
oh, sorry.
that driveway got cut into that road, into that lot.
So from my perspective, I was out there today at about 12:30, and I don't have a previous history of the site, right? I've not seen an approved plan for this, full transparency, but I did notice, and I did comment, Roof, similar to what you had mentioned already, about the berms, I mean, the basins rather, look like they were built up more so with riprap and stone to an extent than an earthen embankment. So that water gets to a certain elevation and it seems to just break through the slope. So I don't know, certainly if you're looking at the driveway on the left, where that tree was, I think you had pointed that spot out seemed to be an issue. And I'm not sure, we got a complaint from the next door neighbor too, I think at number 39, that their front yard, they thought they were seeing more water migrating off the site into that area, that low-lying area. So I'm wondering if that side of the basin as well is a similar issue there. Because right now, when I was out there today, there was a static water level, and I'm wondering if it's at that point where it was just built up with stone. And it's holding water, it looked like it was a little silted, and I guess my first question is, what was the purpose of the basin? Were they designed as an infiltration basin, a holding basin? Because that kind of...
Holding basin and just what were released slowly, but that side of the basin, I told the contractor to fix it, but due to the weather conditions, he couldn't do it. And he's also working on the wall in the back. Remember, it's winter time, it's very muddy and slippery, and it's very hard for him to get the machine doing the work without causing more mud on the site and outside. So he's working as hard as he can when it's drier or it's frozen ground.
Sure. So there's a piped outlet from that basin, is that?
Brandon, can you pull up the as-built plan we had done? So, what started this, just a quick version?
Yeah.
We did an inspection, didn't appear right at the site, so we asked for an as-built. The as-built uncovered that the driveway was not installed in the right place or at the right grades, and all the water was pitched to the left side. Originally, there was no detention basin on the left side. What you see is just temporary measures, because it was much worse prior. We had mud in the street. At least we have cloudy water with silt. I won't say it's clear.
No, I told you that.
But a new
it's
contractor's
coming out
taking the
clean
project
for the
over.
most part.
But the as-built plan will just help you to see. But what we're dealing with is a plan that wasn't followed. We kind of have a mess. It's been dealt with the best it could this time of the year. I mean, I don't want to dismiss what goes on, but there has been a great effort, just so you know, on the owner's part and the new contractor to please us.
Yes.
Reason is today to go out and put stone in the ditch, meaning, and as we all know, it's the middle of the winter. Growing season will help. I'm sure that Raouf and us will work in the spring. I hope the end result is gonna be a good project.
And I think you will, because I've talked to you and I said,
Well,
I
you
think
know we're all
will.
trying really hard,
You know?
including
But,
the
every
people
time
that
it
we're working.
rains, I have a problem.
But I think some of what's going on is almost trying too hard. So the riprap berms is just material, no growing season, dirt erodes away. Yes, we know that the dirt is gonna help to contain it, but also maybe it would have eroded away because it has no stabilization to go with it. I'm not gonna say what could or might happen, but I hope the end result is no one's upset. And I think we are working on that. I don't wanna dismiss anybody that complains.
Yeah,
And
no,
these are
Oh, no,
legitimate
no.
complaints, like you said.
I
just
have-
don't know what to do to make it better right now, other than talk about it like we did, be
Pray for
aware of
spring.
it.
And I wouldn't have even said
This is
anything
just to
tonight,
help. Yeah,
because I'm
yeah.
willing to,
just
I'm
may
willing
just-
to make it work or let it work.
So this single
But it
detention
it gets a
pond,
little disgusting is when every time it rains, I've got a problem.
Yeah, I don't see
And,
that's okay.
and I have seen improvement.
I guess, Raouf, is there anything that we could do right now, knowing that we don't have growing season on our side, to help? I guess is a better way to approach it for tonight. You know, I mean, what could we do? What, I think everyone's willing to. I know the contractor is. And I just don't know what to say to do. I mean, growing season's gonna help a lot.
I'm tired of people not following plans. And
Yeah, but
this
we're
is
already dealing with
largely,
this, Jim.
no, I understand, but this is
already here.
largely,
Yeah.
this is largely a self-inflicted wound. No, there needs to be a penalty. There needs to be a consequence when people don't follow the plans. Because it's not fair
I
to
don't
have a
disagree.
neighbor impacted. And I do agree they're doing everything they can. There's freaking 3 rows of silt fences around there, right?
Well,
I
so
mean,
when
it's
we talk about
I would love to be the
tenants,
silt
yeah, but
fence
They had to
salesman,
pay for an as-built
right?
plan. They had to come in. We've done, we didn't have to issue a fine because they were in cooperation and a great effort. That's what I'm trying to say. I think to punish somebody this late in the game because they're having trouble through the winter.
We should have
when they-
punished them initially.
Yeah, but you can't.
Yeah, we should have. We should
But we
have.
can't,
But we
we
listened
coulda,
to the
shoulda,
whole
woulda,
story, James.
but we didn't,
And
and
we
it's over
didn't
now.
because there were circumstances that led us to not say it had to be a punishment. The punishment is that I'm sure the cost to remediate what's going on there is
Oh, it's huge.
excruciating
Yeah,
to them.
no, it's terrible.
I'm sure it's the biggest headache in their life. And had they not been so forthcoming to try to work with us, I'm sure there would have been fines. I'm sure there would have been. But I don't want to lose track of how we got to today, meaning,
But nothing's improved.
All right, so
Well, it's not.
let me ask,
but
what,
it has. We used to have mud in the street.
Yeah.
James.
when
We
does
have
the
it still.
paving,
It's
when do
just-
paving asphalt plants
I
open?
disagree that there hasn't been a huge improvement on this site.
All right, well,
And
mo-
I think the O'Briens have already paid the fine.
Right, they did. Well,
Because like I told you the last time I got up,
I don't think they got fined.
I don't think there's any.
Oh, he's saying the cost of the work.
Cost.
is-
Right,
Yeah.
so what they had to
Valid.
pay was the cost of really, our consultants' time.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
They did have to pay, it just wasn't through a fine. It was through just the cost of the town to
Yeah.
deal with what happened.
to keep us on time here, and I don't want to cut anyone off.
I don't wanna
Wh-
argue, James, I
Yeah,
didn't
no,
mean to
I
argue,
just-
I just.
Mike, when
I'm
do
just-
asphalt plants open? Would you get best guess? be?
Now?
Now or April 1st at the
I think
latest?
it's greater than that to just say to pave, because paving isn't the problem.
No, but
it's
it
the
has to be
stabilization.
It has to be regraded too and repaved is one of the things.
But you need dry, because you can't pave on mud and dirt.
And the
So-
detention basins need to be fixed, and there's a lot of stuff that needs to happen.
So I think a good discussion might be, did we come with a final remediation of, I knew we came with temporary measures. I know we've all agreed how to
That's
get
as far
through
as
the
we've
winter.
gotten.
But I don't think we've discussed what the final result was gonna be in the spring of how we would make sure there were no issues. That, I think, is still on the table. I could be wrong. I mean, it's extensive.
That's how I remember it.
But that's how I remember it.
So, yeah, there's temporary braces put on the opposite side of the driveway.
So, but this is all temporary, but now we're hopefully approaching spring,
God willing.
right? So what are the next steps now to get this moving? We can't hydro seed it today, but
Right.
we can start getting ready the contract to get going. So I think we should come up with a time frame, my opinion, and a reasonable, and not leave it open-ended. And I don't know if you say by May 15th, 2 months from today. I don't know if that's too soon, not enough, or we have to have an update, something.
I think that's a good question for our roof.
I mean, the plan right now is just to fix those two basins, the berm, just to so we don't get any seeping coming from the top of the berm. And once with the town allow us, and I mean, we are able to do the work for the septic, we'll work on the septic right away, and we'll start stabilization for the front yard. And once we have an opportunity to work on the driveway and there is pavement, we'll do the driveway right after. And I think once we control the front yard, most of the problems that's happening by the street, it will be gone.
Do we want to allow them to proceed with the septic before they solve the runoff problem? Is that is putting in the septic system gonna create additional potential issues?
Septic is part of the stabilization. If we don't do the septic, we cannot stabilize the front yard.
I can see
You know what, Jamie, I'm listening. I think what make us all feel better, and we do ask for this of every some type of construction schedule. I think it would make us feel better. That's a plan to how we're gonna get to stabilization,
That's a good point.
right?
That's a good
So why don't we ask Raouf, not tonight on the spot, but maybe by the next meeting, just come in with a plan, talk with the site contractor, let's come up with a good plan of how they're gonna move forward, so we understand it. And then have Raouf finalize, I mean, that's where we were at. So, is 2 weeks enough time for Raouf to come back, or does he want a month? I mean,
I
we're
hope
not
the
gonna have
problem's
growing.
resolved in 2 weeks, right?
It won't be, because there's a lot of engineering, I think, that has to be agreed upon on our part, and it'll start with Raouf coming with the plan.
Yep.
And is 2 weeks enough time, or is it 4? Because they can't really do any work except
Well, the
for
meeting is in
temporary
3.
measures.
The meeting's in 3.
So Ralph,
So
3
I-
weeks from tonight, would that be enough time for you to come with a construction schedule?
I don't know. I have to check with the contractor, especially I mean, we cannot even do the driveway. We don't know when we can do the driveway, when we can do the septic, because we still have to get the stones and the sand for the septic, and no one is open yet.
Okay.
So, I mean, if
We're
we
at the
can make it
mercy
the
of
Time,
the
right?
following
That's what
time
I'm
and
trying to
weather.
say.
Mother Nature.
Let's say this, just because what's been going on, why don't just someone, it doesn't have to be, maybe the site contractor, at least give us, if they don't have the construction schedule, let us know when they will, because they should have it by that following meeting, because now we're getting into where there would be a growing season. So if we can't make the next meeting, let's make the deadline the next meeting, that we
Second
hear from
meeting in
them.
So
April.
the April 19th.
That's too long. They can
Our
put a
next
schedule
meeting- Our
together.
next meeting is 3
Yeah, but
weeks.
they can't
from
do
Yeah,
any
no,
work
they can
until
put a
then.
schedule
We
together
don't
in
know what
3
the
weeks.
weather's gonna be.
Yeah, but
It
James,
doesn't,
it has
we
to be
don't, we
as-
don't know what the weather's gonna be in June. You know, it's enough.
So any-
We
so-
have these
I
things,
will,
it's just
But for
like,
the perspective of building a home and all the things they have to do, they are at the mercy of Mother Nature.
I understand that. But the schedule, if there's a push or an adjustment that needs to be made to the schedule
Ask
as a
for it then.
result of, but what they can do is they can schedule the work, right, in terms of telling us exactly what they're gonna be doing, all of the activities they're gonna be undertaking. They can create a critical path with a timeline that shows the sequence of how they're gonna be done. And if there's weather delays associated with it, then there's weather delays associated with it. But in 3 weeks, they should be able to define what's gonna be done. They should be able to put them on a critical path with a schedule and tell us what would result in the schedule being adjusted. Whether
I don't think that's unreasonable.
asphalt plans, but it's, we have to develop, there needs to be a consequence when someone makes a field decision to deviate from an approved plan that creates an issue like this, because it ends up in our laps, and
And we get a
But
problem.
this is a
and
new
we try
contractor, correct?
we've
Yeah, it
probably
is.
been talking
So
about
the-
this for,
The people that made the mistake are no longer
gone.
are gone.
but we've been talking about this probably for 3 or 4 months, the exact same conversation.
So Raouf, can
That's
we,
the winter time too. I mean, this whole happened during the winter time, and that's the problem. And then the contractor is gone, and we had to find another contractor to do the work. I will try to arrange a meeting between the DPW and the site contractor and look at the area in the right of way and see if we can find a solution for that area between our contractor and the DPW to solve at least the standing water and the problem in the right of way until the next meeting.
So that's something to put on the critical path schedule with that's one of the action items, but we keep talking about the exact same stuff. This is reminiscent of an enforcement order that we just recently finished with. It just goes on. We try, at the beginning, I think we were exceptionally accommodating as a board because there were actions being taken. Not enough, same issues. I'm completely sensitive to the fact that you've inherited a problem that you didn't sign up for. And I think that it's imperative upon contractors that are working to do everything that they can. And I see, Raouf, I don't mean to go off, but I see that you've put 3 rows of silt fences, and in terms of being able to do what you can do, I think you've probably done
everything you can.
a lot of what you can, but it doesn't get us to the finish line. I want to see the finish line.
Yeah, I mean, we'll work on it. We'll try to resolve the issue with the standing water in the front yard or in the right of way, and I'll communicate with the DPW tomorrow, and our contractor, and we'll try to fix this issue at least as fast as we can. And just the problem is just the other contractor is gone, and he had all the time to do the work right, and he didn't. And then we finally found another contractor to do the work in this type of weather. And we're trying not to scare him away.
As I started thinking, Raouf just brought up, I just think of how scared we were to approve it and all the conditions we put on it and how they weren't followed. And then they did the worst thing, they paved before everything was stabilized.
Yeah, no, it's.
But that's why they're gone.
Yeah, but
Well, I think there's a lot of reasons.
All right, so we're going in circles here. We all want this resolved. I think are we all asking for a form of a construction
Just as a
schedule?
timeline.
A
Yeah,
timeline by
of some
3
sort.
weeks from
So
tonight?
I'm gonna agree with Jamie. It's a hard 3 weeks. So at the next meeting, we want I'll say it this way, Jamie. We want a construction schedule by the next meeting or there'll be enforcement.
Yeah.
We'll be back to where we were a couple months ago. Is that?
Yeah,
make-
no,
all
that's,
right?
yeah,
There's
it's,
repercussions.
enough is
that-
enough,
No, no,
right?
I
Yeah.
respect that.
Yeah, thank you.
So
Mark.
fair enough.
And-
Right?
Yeah, and here's my
And that
Ides
makes a
of
hard
Mar-
line.
and here's my
I
Ides
don't
of
think
March
it's too much to
warning.
ask for a
Yes,
construction
Brandon.
schedule.
Yeah, no, it's
3
not,
weeks.
no. And a schedule of
Because
activities.
today is the Ides of March.
All right, to the consultant.
My Ides of March warning. When looking at projects and drainage, you have to put yourself in today's mindset. middle of March, usually the wettest, most saturated soil time of the year. When they get an application in middle of August, beginning of September, and it's dry, 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 just try to put yourself back into today. Because that was pretty nice and dry over the summertime and in the fall, and now here we are in March, and it's a total mess, because this is what happens.
All right.
I will put some positive thought. I believe it will be done correctly.
It has to be.
It will be stabilized, and we'll start with the plan to put it back together.
Yeah,
So
no, we have a good contractor and a good engineer on the job now.
And
I
when we
understand
have
that.
dates, and we can hold them to it, at least we'll know that there's an end to it.
Yeah, and we need to be clear that failure to adhere to a date that's not directly related to a weather event is a basis for discussing an enforcement order. Not that it's, you know, I mean, not that
No, I
that's
think
what's
fair
gonna
enough.
happen.
No,
but-
no, at this point, fair enough.
Okay, are we all in agreement on that?
Sure.
Do we have any other discussion? Is there anyone from TV that wants to weigh in? Okay,
I'd like to thank you for your time and everything.
thank you.
Thank you,
Thanks
sir.
for coming in, thanks for the update. We will all keep an eye on it. Is there any other discussion, updated things, anything, I
I just
missed
have
one?
a question. Do you want this under board business at the next meeting?
Yes,
I think so, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, under
Because next
discussion.
meeting's 3 weeks from tonight,
yeah,
so.
discussion.
And I have something I want to ask Pam.
No, I think we should give them I'm sorry.
You want to give them a
Because they're
time?
taking so much time, I think we should give them a time, just
You
so
wanna
it's
give 'em time?
scheduled, then people know when to be here, they know when to speak.
Do we need a motion for that?
No.
No, okay.
I just need to give you.
So I put a time on then, and that gives Ralph time to schedule it in, so he knows he has to be here.
Right, that's right.
Yeah, that's fair.
Give them a time, and at least they'll know
Good
that.
catch, Mike.
So that would be,
There's 3 on already on April 5th, so why don't we do 6:50?
Perfect. 4, 5. It's 6:50. Okay, now you go, Brandon, please.
Question of Pam regarding remote meeting access as of April 1st.
Pam, could you talk into the microphone, Pam?
I'm going to talk to Pam like this. My understanding from other towns is that as of April 1st, the legislative act on allowing Zoom meetings, hybrid meetings, ends, and they all have to be in person unless and until the state legislature votes to either to continue it. Are you aware of that? Am I right?
Yes, I am aware. But I do believe that it's going to be offered, it's tentatively passed in the House, waiting in the Senate to go through 2025.
March of 2025, correct?
Yes.
Zoom is the new way of life.
Okay, so anyway, I just wanted to, for the benefit of anybody listening at home and the folks here, that if the legislature doesn't do anything before April 1st, then the April 5th meeting will be most likely completely in person.
You could also note, and I'm not speaking on anybody's behalf, but the town could choose to
Over?
opt for hybrid on their own
Excellent.
account, just so you know, or other towns, depending on their charter, bylaws, governance.
Thank you.
Never bothered me.
Nichols,
I mean, I
167
think
Burbank Road.
Doesn't hurt.
Commission's nice that we're here, I mean,
Yeah, I think
Put
it's nice
applicants
that we're
and
all
stuff.
here.
That was a good thing to bring up, just in case we are not, so people don't expect they could dial in.
Exactly, that's
And
why
I
wanted
think
to
that's
bring
why
it
you
up.
brought it up.
But the reason why I brought it up is because I have a meeting in another town, and their conservation agent told me that, if we didn't get it closed out by like tomorrow night when we have the meeting, that it's very well gonna be in person in April. And I said, oh, well, I have Sutton, tomorrow night, I should probably bring that up too.
Point well taken. Does anyone else have anything?
I make a motion to adjourn.
I'll second. it.
Robin made a motion to adjourn. Mike seconded. Robin, how do you vote?
Aye.
Mike, how do you vote?
Aye.
Tim, how do you vote?
Aye.
Jamie, how do you vote?
Aye.
And I, Bill, vote aye. Welcome, Jared. First 2-hour meeting in a long time.
Should have come to the last one, it was only 30 minutes.